Welcome to 1856 First Church, Pella, Iowa podcast. It's a beautiful day here in Pella, Iowa. Almost summer, Breanne. We're enjoying the last few days of spring, and isn't it great outside?
Yes, it's been beautiful these last few days.
Yes, it's good to see things in full bloom, flowers everywhere. And when you go by some of our wonderful fields, you can see the corn sprouting up out of the ground.
Yeah, it's actually been really nice on my garden. All the flowers are starting to look beautiful.
Beautiful. I heard a farmer say to me the other day, if you listen very intently at night, you can hear the corn grow.
Oh, well, that's good news.
It's rather fascinating. Well, did you have a good weekend, you and your family?
Yeah, we did. We kicked it off with an iCubs game, and then we got to spend the entire day with my husband's family on Saturday.
Well, that sounds great. How did the Iowa Cubs do?
Well, we didn't stay to the end, but we got to see a couple not home runs, but we got to see a couple players make it around to base.
So let me understand this. You went to a baseball game with your family and you didn't stay to the end.
I had kids that had to get to bed.
That's almost un-American.
I'm sorry.
Well, my wife and I are actually going to travel to Chicago next Tuesday, and we're going to go see the Chicago Cubs play the San Francisco Giants. And I assure you, we will be there to the end of the game.
I'm glad.
And we're hoping that it'll be a Cubs victory so that my wife can come home happy.
Yes, I hope for a Cubs victory too.
Thank you for that. Well, Breanne, we had a lot going on Sunday. We have a lot of announcements to make. And it's just so grateful to hear every week. We've got more listeners out there in podcast land. And, tomorrow night, I just want to remind people, tomorrow night's going to be an exciting night. That's Wednesday night of this week. Wednesday night, we're going to have a family prayer gathering. It's going to begin at 6:30. And I can't begin to emphasize enough the importance for the church to pray. And we have sought in every way to be a family, intergenerational church. Yeah. So my hope for Wednesday night is that we have families with kids come and that kids engage in prayer together, and that we have the oldest people who can make their way out to church and that we can all pray together. Tomorrow night specifically, we're going to pray for our city. Okay. We're going to pray for our nation. We're going to pray for some specific things in the world. We want our kids to know what to pray for in the world. And we're also going to pray for our missionaries. And then we're going to conclude the prayer time tomorrow night with praying for each other in our group.
Okay.
And I think it's going to be a great night. Afterwards, we're going to go out and have some ice cream, and there's going to be games, or if you just want to sit around and talk to your friends, that's fine too. It's going to be a great family night. I think one of the best nights of the whole month of June.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Our family will be coming. Is there childcare for the younger ones?
Yeah, there's going to be childcare for the kids that are so small that they literally aren't at the stage that they can pray. I'm hoping whatever children can, sit in a little group for an hour with people, will be there to pray. And otherwise, they can go up to childcare.
Great. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and then a couple Wednesday nights, we're going to do a family movie night. We're going to do 3 of these this summer. The first one that we're going to go see, we're going to go up to New Sharon. Yes. The Capri Theater. We've gone there for the last couple of years. Just fun. You know what? This is just meant to be a fun night. And so families come. If you're grandma and grandpa, you come too. We're going to view the movie Wonka. I haven't actually seen it.
I haven't seen it either.
Some people have seen Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or, other versions of this movie. I'm told that it's excellent. It's family friendly. We'll laugh. We'll smile. It's going to be a fun night together. Remember, folks, it's $3 a person. $3 a person gets you admission to the movie. It gets you a small popcorn and a small drink. Yeah. Nowhere in America can you find that deal.
Can't beat it.
So hopefully we'll fill up the movie theater. That'll be on June 26th, 2 weeks from tomorrow night. Yeah. And then we'll let you know when the July date comes around, because that's going to be a great night as well.
Yeah. So that'll be at the Capri Theater.
The Capri Theater in New Sharon. There's not much in New Sharon, so you can't miss it.
Can't miss it. Do you have to wear your capris to go to the Capri Theater?
You know what? I don't have any capris, so I'm not going to wear them. And I have a feeling my wife won't wear them either. So, but if you feel so inclined, Breanne, you could set the standard for wearing capris to the Capri.
Just to help people remember.
Yes, and then we have a professions class. We had a great starting point class this last Sunday. We had a good bunch of people come that are probably going to make that step into becoming a partner in mission at first.
Good news.
Then in a couple of weeks, we're not going to do it on Father's Day, of course, but we're going to have for kids, basically grades 6 through 12. It can go down as far as 5th grade, but we're going to spend an afternoon with them, giving them basically the same thing that we gave people in Starting Point, but just at a level that the kids can better understand it. But these are kids that are ready to make profession of faith.
That's great.
And so we're looking forward to that. And then if there's even kids, sometimes I've had a few parents say to me, my child's in 3rd grade or 4th grade. Can they do this? I said, yeah, but we're going to do that a little differently. We're actually going to do that in a little, we're going to assign them a mentor for a couple of sessions just to walk through, and so that there's a clear understanding that they love Jesus and that they've committed their lives to Jesus. So we want to provide multiple pathways so that it's a blessing to the kids and the family. So
yeah, another beautiful picture of the generational church.
Amen.
It's great.
Amen. And you know what? I do have exciting news only because I got off the phone like an hour ago.
Okay.
Do you know who I was on the phone with?
No, I don't.
Well, she's a lady by the name of Brenda.
Okay.
She lives down in Illinois, but she is kind of the manager for Dino Kartsanakis. Now, Dino is an outstanding piano player. I mean, Dino is such a great piano player. Even people who don't like the piano will be blessed by Dino. And those who have been around the First Church family for years know that Dino was here, I don't know, some 30 years ago to dedicate the very piano we have in our worship center. But we're getting him to come back.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I'm so excited. And so he's going to come September 15th. He's going to be here on a Sunday night. I'm going to talk to my good tech guy and who helps me out with so many things, Mike Melody, and we're going to get this set up and on the internet so people can buy tickets for it.
Okay.
But we hope to pack out the house on September 15th. Really, it's going to be an enjoyable evening. I wouldn't spend the time to bring him here if I didn't think it was going to be a hit and a blessing. And so, I just talked to her a couple hours ago, and we're going to get them booked this week.
Oh, that sounds exciting. Was this the gentleman you ran into on one of your travels?
I did. I met him in Branson, Missouri. Last time we were there, he was in his little bakery that he had.
Oh.
And it's a long story, but we had just a little connection through something I purchased from him by mail so that he would remember me. I had sent him a bag of Pella flour from the big mill over there. So when I walked in and I said, I'm Bob Johnson from Pella, the one who sent you the flour, he immediately knew me, and we started talking about him coming to Pella, and now he's going to come.
That's exciting.
It was a serendipitous encounter.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, that's some good announcements. So, Breanne, I hardly let you talk yet, and I know you have many words. So,
that's all right.
You take it from here.
Well, this was the second Sunday that we dove into 1 Corinthians, and you preached it, and it was on 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verses 10 through 17. So I like that we're moving through this book slowly. I think there's just a lot of good stuff in here. So the topic was the church divided.
Yeah.
I feel like there should be a dun, dun, dun at the end of all that.
Dun, dun, dun.
But you also titled as part 1. Can we look forward to a part 2?
I did title it part 1.
You did. You titled it part 1. So I imagine there's more division topics to come.
No, there's actually not. Actually, what I've done is I divided up the book of 1 Corinthians into multiple parts.
Okay.
So this is part 1 of our 1 Corinthians series, which will go about 5 weeks, and then we'll go into part 2.
Okay. All right. Well,
so there's not going to be part 2 of divisions.
Okay.
Although if I talk to a few people, they might be divided over that issue.
Maybe they would be. At first, when you introduced the topic, you had us all kind of sit around and talk about the divisions that people have experienced over the years.
Yeah, it wasn't quiet in the room,
It was not quiet at all. I mean, it probably wasn't quiet in Balls Day either with the different divisions. So this is still a common problem, isn't it?
Well, it's interesting because people have history. And so, when I asked for some of the responses of what was in their groups, there was no problem putting out some of those things. And, some of those things I was aware of and some of those things I wasn't aware of.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah, I mean, it's an unfortunate thing that basically everybody on their church resume can recall divisions, some significant and some downright petty in their history of the church.
Yeah. Would you say, are there any divisions that are good in the church?
Well, yeah, division, being divided over things. Yeah, it's hard for me to say, hey, I want to be a divided church. So no, I wouldn't say that. would I like to say that diversity is good? Yes. And I believe that we should expect diversity from the way the races of people, the cultural backgrounds of people, the generations of people. And so with all of those things come diversity, of which is meant to be celebrated. And let's not let the celebration of diversity ever move into divisions that's, can divide us. So no, I can't think of divisions that are good.
So thinking historically, there was church separations, and you wouldn't classify that the same as divisions.
Yeah, I know we get into a semantic thing. We think of like the Protestant Reformation in 1517, and things had gotten so bad in the church that there needed to be a reformation, of which that reformation involved a separation. Because of the separation, new things were birthed. I mean, there were people who were very passionate about staying true to the Word of God. And so, needless to say, it was bad enough within the overall church leading up to 1517 that people said, this isn't getting better. We need to separate. And it's unfortunate that it had to come to that, but it's more unfortunate that the sin was so rampant in the church, and that there had been such a depth of despair in the church from not following the truth that it had to come to that. And, it goes without saying that here we are as a church where we used to be a part of the Reformed Church in America. And our church, along with many here in Pella, in this region, and certainly throughout the country, a few years ago said, we believe that the situation is grave enough that we need to separate. And we need to separate because we felt that there were trends within the overall denomination that weren't going in a good direction. And they were literally hurting churches from being who they were called to be. And so we separated. We think that's been a good thing. And I look at that word as different than division. And I know some people might disagree with my
might be another division.
Correct.
You had talked about how that can be hard, where the church splits over through a division of an issue. And you'd kind of talked about a town such as Pella, too. We have a lot of different churches that have divided, and that can be hard. But back in the Corinthians time, we have Paul, and he wanted to deal with it in a grace-filled and loving way, rather than through anger and frustration. So how can we deal with division now in a loving way?
Well, I think we always have to give space for our diversity. Everybody doesn't agree on everything. I talked about negotiables and non-negotiables within that. People choose different things. I mean, you might like vanilla ice cream. I like chocolate ice cream. Now, if I start imposing on you that you're going to like chocolate ice cream, that's going to be your flavor too. Well, I have to ask myself, how important is that? And so oftentimes, at least in my experience, I've seen people who might have an opinion on something that is fine. I respect your opinion. I don't agree with you, but I respect your opinion. And we have to give space for that and not impose that on others. 1 Corinthians 13 says, love does not demand its own way. And we have to be careful with that. And even as that comes out of my mouth, I realize this. When we go into those non-negotiables of what we would define in Scripture, well, there's certain things I'm not going to move on because I believe that they're grounded in Scripture. That doesn't mean I can't love another person. That doesn't mean I can't respect another person. That doesn't mean I can't coexist with them in some manner or form. And so those things can ultimately divide people, but can we do it in love?
Yeah, no, that's good. You had also warned against our preferences in those negotiables and non-negotiables. And you hinted, well, you didn't hint, you were pretty clear on this, but the root of this is based in what?
Well, pride oftentimes, gets the best of us. So I remember back in the late 80s, we started singing some different music. We only did it at our evening service, and some people were very vocal that they didn't like that music. They didn't like that music. And they gave the reasons. And I would say to them, I'd say, is it biblical? And they say, well, yeah, I suppose so. It's biblical, but I don't like those snappy tunes. Okay, I respect that. I'm not asking you to like it. I'm asking you now to join in it with the whole church, as many people are being really blessed by it. And so can you put aside your own preferences and can you join in? That doesn't mean standing there with your arms folded and looking like you just ate a sour lemon, but let's join in it. I love that in our church every week, we do this pre-service singing where we sing some hymns.
Yeah.
I'm always standing up in front and I'm looking out. I know that every generation doesn't always know these hymns, but I love it when they sing them. I even love it when they smile. And then, we move from that into the call to worship, and we start singing other songs that are probably more contemporary. And I love that people sing that. And what I want to be known as is a church that loves the Lord and that sings. And when people ask me, I just got asked this by a visitor a few weeks ago, who was just coming to see our church in the week, and they say, they saw our sanctuary and they said, oh, what a beautiful place. And they said, are you a traditional church? And I said, well, of course we're a traditional church. We've been here since 1870. Well, what songs do you sing? Oh no, are you contemporary or are you traditional? And I said, we sing songs. And they looked at me and they said, songs? I said, yep, songs. Because I'm not going to live in the division of whether they were written before 1950 or after 1950. They're classical or Baroque. We sing songs.
Yeah. Well, whether they're classical or Baroque, don't fix it, right?
That's very good. Very good.
As we were talking about loving each other well through divisions, I had found a quote by Francis Schaeffer. And he had said that what the world needs to see is not the Christian church tearing down every fence that was built for the sake of truth, protecting the truth, declaring the truth, but rather we should stop throwing hate bombs over the fences and instead love each other across genuine disagreements and genuine fences. So I feel like you kind of talked about that a little bit and loving each other well in that.
Well, Francis Schaeffer, no, there's a name from the past. And Francis Schaeffer, what a great Christian philosopher. And he wore knickers. And I really liked that about Francis Schaeffer. His wife, Edith, wrote a great book called The Gift of Hospitality. I think that's what it's called. And I know my wife was very blessed by that book early in our marriage. But what a great quote. And I'd expect something deep like that from Francis Schaeffer. Unfortunately, Christians over the years have been really good at taking those hate bombs and throwing them over. And I've seen them from a variety of sides. For instance, churches may disagree on baptism, the mode of baptism. So if a church is strictly what I would call a paedo-Baptist church, they only baptize infants, so be it. If that's what you come to and you believe that to be correct, then that's great. But don't take up a bomb and throw it at a church that only baptizes believers and say that they're wrong, and vice versa. I mean, it's just not necessary for that. I've had people come to me. Of course, I love talking about eschatology and the end times, and maybe I talk about it a little bit differently than most people who have come out of my tradition. But some people will just say, not knowing what I believe in, they'll say, "Well, as long as you don't believe in the rapture and this and that, you're okay." And I'll say, "Well, what if I do?" Okay, we've got to learn to love each other through these differences. It's okay to have them. We can still love.
Yeah, I appreciated an article I read by John Piper. He said the world doesn't stumble mainly over doctrinal disagreements among Christians. We stumble over the way we treat each other in the light of those disagreements. So it's a sad reality that we do. We have our opinions and our preferences, and I just hope that we don't stumble over them.
Well, for sure. And I'm very impressed, Breanne. You read Francis Schaeffer in the last week and John Piper.
Thank you. You really got me going this
now,
week.
Now, if you quote Spurgeon in a little bit, that's going to be pretty amazing. Yeah, I mean, Piper right on there. How we treat people and how we handle people is of paramount importance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm going to quote one other author because we're also sitting in an adult Bible study. We have these different classes going on here at church, and
you're leading the marriage one, right?
Well, my husband is, and I'm helping him with that. And it's from the book that Dave Harvey wrote, When Sinners Say I Do. It was a new book to me. I hadn't read it, but it's had some good nuggets in there. But he quotes Thomas Watson and says, "Till sin be bitter, Christ will not be sweet." And so I just took that application from a marriage to within the body too. Until we know that we're the problem, Christ is not going to be as sweet and the answer.
Wow, that's another great quote. The fact of the matter is, it's so easy for us to blame other people. Mm-hmm. Be lame. And the fact is, I've got to look at myself in the mirror. I've got to see the bitterness of my own sin. And I'm reminded of this regularly. I need Jesus. Mm-hmm. I need Jesus. I need the sweetness of Jesus.
Thanks.
Because left to my own devices, I'll struggle with pride and I could appear bitter. And if I go around spreading bitterness, that's not what I'm to do. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, great quote. Thank you for that. That works in marriage and the church.
Yeah, it certainly piqued my memory on how I can get better. At the end of your sermon, we talked about the root problem, right? What is, the pride and the sin within that. And you go into what the remedy is. What is the remedy to this?
Well, we stopped and we sang a song that most people in the church know, mm-hmm. of which I hope that they remember this throughout the week. Turn your eyes upon Jesus, look full in his wonderful face, mm-hmm. and the things on earth will grow strangely dim in the light of his glory and grace. Mm-hmm. Our eyes need to be fixed on Jesus. And so, the point being, if our eyes aren't fixed on Jesus, well, then we're going to be distracted. And distracted by what? And so we talked about a variety of things that we can be distracted by. And that's when people start getting selfish. But can you imagine for a moment an entire church where their focus is completely on Jesus? Different races, different cultures, different ages, different economic brackets. How do they all exist together? There's only one remedy.
That's right.
It's Jesus. And it works. And that's what it's going to be like on heaven. So just as we pray regularly, may your kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven with regard to this.
Yeah, no, that's great. So as you finished, what do we have to look forward to next Sunday?
Well, we're going to continue to plod through the book of 1 Corinthians and look at more issues that Paul brings up in the wonderful message as we move into this next section of the gospel and how the gospel appears to some and how it appears to others. Mm-hmm. To some, the gospel is hope. Some, the gospel is folly. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk about how the gospel is absolutely the hope for the world. So I hope it's a very encouraging message. It's Father's Day.
Yes.
So we're going to be celebrating our dads, mm-hmm. and dads who are out there. I just want you to know we're going to celebrate you. I served at a church one time, and I remember the pastor I was working with, he says, yeah, we tend to beat up dads on Father's Day to be better dads and better husbands. And by the time they leave, they think, why did I even come? Well, that's not what we're here for on Sunday. Mm-hmm. We're here to celebrate you. We're here to celebrate the wonderful gift you are to your families. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the legacy of fathers in our church. So, and we've got a special gift for all the dads this Sunday. Mm-hmm. And I love that this church has a tradition of giving out gifts on Mother's Day and Father's Day. And a few years ago, it seemed like we just kept giving out books to people. Mm-hmm. And so the ladies in the office, of which you're one of them, mm-hmm. I said, why do you keep giving out books? I said, guys, just use those for coasters. So they said, well, what do you want us to give? I said, something they can eat.
Yes.
And so for a couple of years, we gave out candy bars, and the guys were pretty happy with that, except those that left them on their dashboard after they left here. Mm-hmm. This week, it's going to be something that they can eat, but I'm not going to say what it is, mm-hmm. but they'll find it worthwhile.
I think they will too.
That's good.
So do you have any other announcements for those listening?
You know what? I think we've talked this through very well. I just, every week I look forward to what's going on with the prayer night tomorrow night. And last night we had an executive team meeting on our board. And it's just, I love working with the people at First Church. And so every week is always an adventure. What a joy it is to celebrate life in Jesus. I look at the many encounters we have with people from week to week. Yesterday, our Epics group was downstairs.
Yeah.
Beautiful Millie Van de Kieft was there with, she had the parade of costumes from the Netherlands that they do at Tulip Time. So she had a captive audience down there watching that. And I thought, what a great thing. And so I'm just really blessed to be a part of this wonderful family. Glad you're here with us. Hope your family has a great week.
Yeah.
My wife and I are looking forward to next week going away just for 2 days, 1 day up to Chicago, see a game, come back. And those little breaks are good for us too.
It is. We will be taking a break as well. We'll be doing a little camping. So
where are you going to go camping?
We're headed over to the great state of Nebraska.
Nebraska, the Cornhusker state, the state that you could look out to the west and watch your dog run away for a week.
Yes, it is very flat.
Are you going to go to the zoo?
We hope to, yes.
Oh, nice.
Our youngest is at a great age for the zoo, and so we're really looking forward to that.
Omaha Zoo, fantastic. My wife and I will be there in August.
Oh, that will be fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Good. Well, I'm looking forward to this Sunday, and don't forget, it's at 9:30.
9:30 this Sunday. Hope to see everybody there. Have a great, fantastic, spectacular week.